Hi guys, it's me, Jasmine the dog trainer. I wanted to make another video today on chewing. I made one yesterday just about appropriate chews, and we discussed Kong versus rawhide versus regular bones, right? So today I want to get into the discussion of them chewing things that they aren't supposed to in our houses. This is a very common issue, whether you have a brand new puppy, an adopted adult dog, or a dog that you've had in your house for years and just never figured out how to get them out of their chew phase. So with puppies, it is totally normal for puppies to go through a natural chew phase. They want to sink their teeth into things. Sometimes it's your chair leg, sometimes it's a table leg, sometimes it's your couch, sometimes it's a wall, okay? I know I had a personal experience with one of my dogs. She was a puppy, she was a pit bull puppy, not super hyper, but she was a chewer for sure. Her crate was pushed up against the wall, and she ate my wall through her crate. It was her teeth marks through the bars, through the wall, okay? So I've also had another instance where the tray in the bottom of the crate wasn't locked in, because I didn't realize at that point that they did lock into the bottom of the crate. And by the way, if you didn't know, they do. And if you don't lock it, you could have one of the experiences I had. I came home from work, and I was on my lunch break to take her out for a potty break. She had kicked the tray from underneath the crate and ate a hole through the carpet. Okay, so that wasn't fun. Nobody wants to come home to anything like that. So that little lock that's on the front part of your crate, usually it just tucks right into the edge where the door is, and it locks the tray in. All right, so point being, she was a chewer. My sweet little puppy just loved to sink her teeth into things, which was perfectly normal, and there's no reason to get upset with them, okay? So what we need to do is manage the behavior and redirect, all right? So it's very important to know that whether it's a puppy or an adult dog, after the fact, it doesn't matter if I walk in and, I see the hole and she might be near it. If I point to the floor and I say, that's bad, you shouldn't have done that, they don't understand what we are talking about. Dogs don't naturally speak human. There's no way to punish them after the fact. Please do not strike your dog, okay? So physical punishment, yelling at them, any of that, it's not effective for redirecting and preventing behaviors like that. So what we can do is manage our environment better, okay? So locking that little tray into the bottom of the crate, moving the crate away from the wall. So, whether they're chewing on shoes, if a dog chews your shoe, keep your shoes out of reach, okay? If they've chewed your table leg, obviously we can't just pick the table up and move it in most instances. So then we need to make the environment deter them from wanting to chew on it. And what do I mean by that? We can teach a dog leave it. We can teach them not to go near the table. If they go to put their mouth on the table leg, we can say leave it. And if they understand the leave it command well enough, they understand that they should not put their mouth on it at that point. However, that usually is only effective while we are in the room. So dogs are opportunists. If we walk out of the room, their dog brains say, she doesn't like when she sees me put my mouth on that chair leg. So they'll do it when you're out of the room. They'll do it when you're not home, okay? So we need to make the environment deter them from wanting to chew on it. There are no chew sprays that we can buy, or you can get fancy and go online and come up with some recipes and make some. I've done that before. So with no chew sprays, we spray it on the item when the dog is not in the same room. If they see us spray something, they're usually going to go over and test it out and taste it. Especially puppies are very curious. And some puppies are harder to offend than others. There's lots of no chew sprays. They have different bitter properties or scent deterrents. I would say for a chewing deterrent, you want to go with something that is flavor that is a deterrent, not necessarily a scent. You could do a combo of both, which should be more effective, but it wholly depends on your dog. Like I said, some dogs are hard to offend at all. That same dog, there was a spray called Bitter Apple. She loved it. Loved it. If I sprayed it on something, she was going to chew it because I sprayed it on there. But then there was another one that I found, and I don't even know if it's on the market anymore, but it was called Bitter Yuck, and it was made with totally different bitter properties. She hated that one. So I think it was made with like a rosemary extract, if I can remember correctly. But yeah, bitter sprays they can work. It's not guaranteed to work. Everything with dog behavior, unfortunately, is trial and error. That's just like with us humans. Not saying that humans and dogs are the same, because we are not. We have different motives than animals. With humans, what works for me might not work for you. Okay? Just like what works for my specific dog may not work for your dog. However, being a dog trainer for 14 plus years, I have enough data in my mind and science and education to understand, generally speaking, what should work for this dog. And if that doesn't work, I'm able to figure out how to maneuver that for that specific dog, depending upon their specific circumstances, their specific environment, their specific temperament, based on their past behaviors, how they respond to certain things. So that's the benefit in doing a one-on-one session with me, with virtual training or in person for your dog, because I can give you general ideas of what usually works, but sometimes we have to get creative and we have to come up with a different plan for your dog, because they can just be totally different than what usually works. So that happens with kids. Generally speaking, your kid should do this. Well, if they don't, then we have to come up with an alternative plan. Okay, so with any kind of behavior that I am, telling you how to handle, there could be specific circumstances that will cause us to have to modify it a bit, and there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean your dog is broken or anything like that. I guarantee there's not much I haven't heard at this point. Years ago, I would hear certain things and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I've never heard that before. Excuse me. Still getting over being sick. Okay, so apologize. So yeah, there's just certain things that might need to be modified for your specific issue that you're having with your dog. But generally speaking, a bitter spray should work. That doesn't work. Well, even if it does, we still want to make sure that we are supervising. So, my first question when someone says my dog keeps going after my shoes and chewing them and I can't get them to leave my shoes alone is, have you tried keeping them out of their reach? Because if your dog can't reach your shoes, then they can't chew them, right? And I understand. I have a child. I have a teenager. When our dog was a puppy, she had the same complaint. It was like I had a client in my house. Okay. This puppy was wild and she was a chewer. Well, not necessarily destructive. She would just like steal things and run because my daughter would chase her. So it was a game. Okay. But it wasn't fun for my daughter. My dog thought it was hilarious. She thought they were having a grand old time, right? So they will do what gets attention. They understand what gets a reaction. So if she stole my shoes, I would ignore her and I would walk away. And once she lost interest and dropped them, I would calmly go take my shoes and put them out of her reach so that she didn't have access to them. And then I would find something for her to play with. You don't want to directly exchange, a toy or a chew for a shoe, because then we're training them to grab that item and be rewarded with something. Okay, so that's a mistake that sometimes we make, and it's normal. You don't naturally know how to train a dog. You don't naturally know how to decipher animal behavior and speak dog. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not that person that's going to beat you up for not knowing how to train your dog. That's what I'm here for. If everybody knew how to train their dogs, I wouldn't have a job. So, you have to keep things out of their reach if possible. Supervise with things that we can't move. I can't pick my desk up and, put it out of a puppy's reach. But what I can do is make sure that I've got things to occupy that puppy. I can make sure that I've exercised the puppy. I can make sure that I've got, something that matches that texture that they want to chew on. So if your dog is stealing flip-flops, right? If they're stealing flip-flops and they're biting down on the flip-flop, well, they might want a rubbery texture, which is what was in that other video that I posted yesterday. And so that you could use a Kong for that, because they can really sink their teeth down in it, and you can put a treat in it, keeps them busy, it bounces around, whatever. If they are wanting to chew on, I've seen puppies chew on metal table or chair legs, well, then they might be craving chewing on a harder texture, or your cabinets or your baseboards. So if they want something they can really, really bite down on that doesn't have any give in it, they might be needing to relieve some pressure. Sometimes they're just stressed or anxious or whatever, but you want to try and match that texture for them. And that's when I recommend doing the sterilized. Please watch the other video. I did a whole thing about bones, cooked bones, rawhide, stuff like that. What is and is not okay. Please don't ever give your dog rawhide. I'm going to say that again, just in case you don't watch the other video, but I encourage you to watch it. So what I didn't mention in that previous video is that there's also some other options, which, I've heard different feedback from different veterinarians. Some veterinarians do not like the idea of antlers or even the raw bones, the raw sterilized bones, because it's really hard, and they've had some dogs break their teeth on some of these items. The thing is as I said in the previous video, you need to supervise your dog. You need to see what they are doing with what we're giving them to occupy them, for them to chew on or play with. And you have to get to know what you can and cannot trust them with before you leave them unattended. So if you've got a very, very strong chewer and you notice they're really, really crunching down on their bone or their antler or whatever, then, maybe you shouldn't leave it with them unsupervised. You should watch them, but still allow them to chew on it and figure that out. Consult with me if you need to, because I will be able to determine, okay, that's not a good idea. Maybe we should try this instead. There's so many alternatives, but please do not give rawhide. There's even one of my clients showed me, which was new to me. It's literally a chunk of wood, but they sell it in the dog stores. for your dog. It's like, I think it was like coconut, a chunk of coconut palm wood. So it's like a softer wood, and literally this thing is just like gigantic. It's hard for them to put their mouth around it, so they can bite down on it. I gave it to my dog to test it out, and I didn't really like. She's not much of a. The one I have now is not much of a chewer, um, and she was able to pull some wood splinters off of it. Some of them were a little sharp, so that's concerning for me for a dog that would eat it. She doesn't eat things, so she pulled pieces off and spit it out on the floor. I wouldn't leave it in her crate with her. I wouldn't leave it in, if I close her off into a room instead of putting her in the crate, I wouldn't leave that with her because I wouldn't trust her with it. If she were stressed, she might have a different interaction with it and decide that she's going to swallow some pieces that came off of it, and that wouldn't be good. So like I said, just we have to get to know our individual dog and know what we can and cannot trust them with before we leave them with it. She does great with antlers. She's not that into it with the antlers, so I can leave those in the crate and know that she's not going to hurt herself with it. Kong is always the go-to with her because she likes working for the treat, and then it wears her out and she falls asleep. And then, what's the other one? There's so many chews. So my point is that we want to help match that texture that they are craving to chew on. If they want to chew on something that's very hard and we don't give that to them, then they might find something like your chair leg, your table leg. And management is the best method of redirection. If you've got a dog that wants to keep on going for the chair leg, some of them will, they play games with us that are not fun for us. So if we give them a great reaction, every time we see their mouth on the chair leg or the table leg, we yell, "No, what are you doing? Stop it, leave it." And we go over there and pick them up if it's a little dog, or if it's a bigger dog, we grab them and we move them away. Well, we have given them a reaction that they might deem very fun. If we're busy, we're working. I'm sitting at my desk right now. I'm working, I'm busy, and I have a dog in my house that comes over and starts chewing on my desk. And I look at them and I say, "Don't do that, leave it," and I take them and move them away from it. Okay? They now know what to do to get a reaction from me. They now know what to do to get an interaction from me when I'm busy, when I'm not paying attention to them. So we have to be mindful of things like that because dogs are very smart and they link behaviors together. And sometimes we don't know that they're actually training us, okay? So try to keep your eyes open for things like that because guaranteed there's some things that your dog has trained you to do that you are not even aware of. They know that a certain behavior gets a certain reaction from you, and you might be inadvertently rewarding them for it, whether it's with a real treat, because that happens, or we feed them, or we go find their toy and give it to them. Those are all rewards. Giving them attention, giving them any kind of interaction, that's a reward. So that's just as good as giving them a treat, depending on the dog. Okay, yes, we've got some dogs that are a little more sensitive. If you raise your voice at them, yeah, they're going to be upset or whatever, but it doesn't mean that they understand why we are upset. So it's important not to yell at your dog. We don't want to I try not to use the word no because it's too general. When we're training, no is too general. What do people say? No jumping, no barking, what's the other? No biting. So no. No means nothing now because no means everything. Okay? So what I do instead is teach specific commands. All right? So if we have a specific command called leave it, and leave it means don't put your mouth on that. And they definitely understand because we have trained them and worked on that specific command. where they understand exactly what it means, then we use that for something that they're not supposed to touch, right? Instead of saying no, 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 we say leave it. We say drop it. Drop it means get that out of your mouth. So we say leave it. We say drop it. We say off instead of no jumping. We say gentle instead of no biting. So we have to have specific ways to communicate with them so that we aren't confusing them. Because humans are very confusing. We don't naturally speak dog, and dogs don't naturally speak human. We have to meet them in the middle and help them understand how to understand us, right? So we have to compromise. My method of training is positive reinforcement. So yes, I do use treats. There's some people that don't want to use reward-based training. They don't want to use treats because they don't want their dog to do it only because they're getting a treat. Well, would you go to work every day if you weren't getting paid? Probably not. That's called volunteering. Not everybody volunteers for a reason, right? So dogs don't naturally know what we want them to do. We have to show them. We have to use something that motivates them. Even with kids, it's, we're not paying them to do their chores, but we compromise. We tell them, hey, if you want to do this, then you need to do this. You need to clean your room if you want to go to the park, or things like that. Okay, so we have to have a level of communication where the dog is motivated to work. The dog is motivated to do certain things because something is in it for them. It's basic psychology, really. So if you've got a class full of kindergarten kids and, they have treasure box. Why do they have a treasure box? Because it's, their reward. We used to have, when I was in kindergarten, the gold stars. You had 5 gold stars for the week, you got to go in the treasure box. Well, of course, dogs' attention span is not going to remember they were good for 5 days, so now they get to whatever. We have to reward them in the moment because their attention span is very, very short, especially puppies. But of course, as they mature and as we teach them, they can understand, longer term commands like, a downstay that lasts 30 minutes versus 5 seconds when we're working with a puppy. So you understand what I mean with that. Preventing them from being able to chew on your chair leg is the best method. Redirecting. Sometimes we need to have a tether on them, a leash attached to them around the house so that when they do go to do something, get into something that they shouldn't, chew on your couch, we have a leash attached to them. We can calmly go grab the leash, pick it up or step on it, pick it up, slowly walk them away. So we're not jerking them away from it saying, don't bite on my couch. They don't understand that. So we're just going to redirect them. We'll guide them away from it, and I would hold them with you for maybe, let's say, 30 seconds to a minute maybe. And then you give them something to redirect them with. So you give them a toy to chew on instead. Hold the leash, keep them with you, let them chew on it just so that we can make sure they're not going to go right back over to the thing that we didn't want them to chew on. But that's the method of management when it comes to chewing on things that they shouldn't chew on in your house. Interruption, redirection, but we want to make sure that when we're interrupting that behavior, if they're chewing on the chair leg and we pull them away from it and shove a toy in their mouth right away, we've rewarded them. Okay, so it has to be very calm and smooth. Just where we can grab their leash, guide them away from it, give some time so that they're not directly linking what we're going to give them to actually, chew on to occupy them instead of the chair leg. So like they're, a bone, you can do like a nyla bone with some dogs if they're not a super strong chewer. I might get into detail about nyla bones another time, But some rubber bones are okay. Nylabones, some of them are that's soft rubber, and I've had too many dogs in my care chew chunks off of it. I don't like to give it to them because it's plastic, and then they swallow it because it tastes like meat. It's like chicken flavored or beef flavored. So I prefer not to do that. Kong, oh, I forgot on the other video, Kong actually makes bone-shaped Kongs. So it's in the shape of a bone, and you can put cookies on the ends of the bones. That is a good option when it comes to something softer for them to bite down on that's bone-shaped. So, yeah. And of course, I can give very specific advice and instruction if I know exactly what's going on with your specific dog and what you've tried and what hasn't worked, what has worked for them. Okay? So let me just make sure that I went over what I wanted to on this topic. So yes, you want to offer multiple textures. There are, with the softer toys, for regular play, supervised play. If you've got a destructive chewer, you don't want to leave stuffed toys with them because we know what happens with it. It's a waste of money. It could harm them. They could swallow pieces. But if we're going to play fetch with them and then take it away and put it out of reach where they don't have enough time to shred it and eat it. So what I'm saying is we're not leaving it in their crate. Okay, so what I like to do is I'll play with them with it, practice drop it, practice fetch. If you play tug with your dog, play tug, and then you take it and put it away. All right, so they don't have access to it, don't have enough time to destroy the toy. Okay, so we can do, there's a lot of toys that are marketed virtually indestructible. I had a very strong chewer, and she chewed through all of the toys that were virtually indestructible, because if a dog is on a mission and they have a strong enough mouth, they can get through it. However, there are some things that are made very, very tough. So when I say that she was able to chew through even the toughest toys, some of them took her longer, but she did get through them. There was a fire hose texture toy that I found at one point, and that actually lasted a long time for her. It didn't have stuffing. It was fire hose material, like nylon on the outside, and then it was nylon and rubber on the inside, and then there was a squeaker, and it was like quadruple stitched around the edges. So it was like looked like a retrieving toy. It wasn't cute. It didn't have little fluffy ears or anything like that, but it was something that I could leave out that she could play with by herself, and she didn't destroy it right away. Usually it took her less than 5 minutes to get through a toy. And then she'd look at me like, okay, that was fun. Can I have another one? So, with virtually indestructible toys, we might still need to supervise them. That's my point. And I have a toy that I want to do a review on. And I will do it at some point, but just be on the lookout for it. It's a cute toy. It's a toy that's marketed or produced by one of my clients, and it's adorable. All right, so why do dogs chew? Let's go over that really fast. Normal chew phase with puppies, and then we've got stress can be a factor, anxiety, and boredom. Okay, so boredom is if we're not exercising them enough, they might chew your stuff because they've got all of this extra energy. If they have anxiety, it causes some dogs to want to destroy things, okay? So your dog is not destroying things because they're mad at you. Dogs don't destroy things to retaliate against you. And it's a common misconception for some reason, but dogs don't have the same motives as humans. So you come and, steal my water hose, and then I go steal your water hose to retaliate. Dogs don't behave in that manner. All right. So with dogs, you know, they react to stress. So if something stresses them out, if we yell at them and we stress them out over something and they don't understand what we are saying, remember, because they don't speak human. So if we stress them out or something in their environment is stressful, then it can cause them to have a destructive behavior. It's not them being mad, it's their stress response. It's how they're getting that out of their system. So it has nothing to do with trying to make you mad. And, you know, the whole like, oh, they looked guilty when I came in, because they read your body language. When they see us with our hands on our waist, we're frowning, we're scowling at them, you know, dogs pick up that, oh, they do that when they're not happy about something. What's going on? What's going to happen next? So we kind of, in our human brains, we attribute that being, oh yeah, they know exactly what they did, they feel guilty. No, that's not the case. All right, so let's see what else here. Yeah, so just we have to figure out what exactly your dog needs for redirecting their chewing. If you go and, you know, you take this advice, if you go and you try and figure it out on your own and you're just not getting anywhere, contact me. Contact a professional positive reinforcement trainer. You don't want anybody punishing your dog because, you know, it's not the way to go. That's old-fashioned, it's old school. Science-based training, reward-based training, positive reinforcement is definitely more effective. Less problem behaviors develop. Punishment with your dog is going to have a snowball effect of other behaviors that we don't want, including aggression. So contact a professional, consult with a professional. I do consultations virtually. You can set something up and, you know, we can go over exactly what your needs are, and I can give you an outline of what you should do, and this is, you know, the protocol for this, and it's definitely worth it. All right, so I think that's all I want to go over with the chewing for now. Check out the other video, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.